This is about seeing the truth amongst the noise and understanding that there is a path and it will be laid out in front of you one brick at a time when the timing is right. So after a very whirlwind of June, we are now into July, and July is actually a pretty interesting month. There's going to be a lot of things happening, but it's going to still be kind of dynamic even so, bringing huge themes that I think will play out in the future. It is a time of slowing down because we do have Mercury going retrograde on the 18th of the month, and that's going to set the stage for a sort of contraction, you could say, because there's a lot of expansion that we had in the beginning of the year, and now we're sort of in a time of contraction. And the contraction is really connected to this concept of what happened, how did it play out? Are there things I want to change going forward? And if there are, this is the time to sort of have the moment to sit with it and to reflect. So Jupiter is leaving the gate of extremes in its rearview mirror, and I think we can all breathe a sigh of relief because it was a lot of extreme energy. So July marks an interesting time of the year, and it happens every July. And it is when we have the mandala, where we have the Earth and the Sun kind of switching positions. And every July, we reach a point where the Sun moves into gate 56, then it moves into gate 31, and it moves into the space that the Earth was when we began the Human Design New Year, about January 21st or 22nd in the beginning of the year. And what happens is the Earth is now in gate 41. And so we could say that we're sort of beginning a new cycle, but this new cycle is based on the concept of looking at what has happened so far. And now with the Earth in gate 41, this is a manifestation energy that is bringing a tangible, a grounding into these brand new beginnings, these brand new things that are happening. So we could say that the sun illuminated all the energies from gate 41 to gate 56 and talked about all those energies and sort of brought them into our being. And now the earth is going to say, let's make something tangible from all the energy that we have gone through up until this moment. This is going to take time to become something else. So now we are in a place of basically a brand new cycle. This cycle will begin on July 25th. And so we have that time ahead. And in fact, we probably have more time because with Mercury retrograde, especially retrograding through energy that is about looking at types of leadership that you might have both personally and globally. We're looking at leadership. We're also reflecting on our experiences, reflecting on what we've done, where we've been, what we learned, and how we can use that going forward. And so it is this culmination of a moment where we're sitting with the energy, understanding what it meant for us all, and then deciding, okay, how do I want to shift this up as I go forward? What do I want to change? What worked? What didn't work? What do I want to put more energy into? What do I want to release energy from? And so this is that moment where we are kind of looking at the whole picture and deciding what it all meant to us. Now, with Jupiter still in gate 52 until the 21st of July, this gives us time to sort of take all the details that we may have collected and sort of put them in a collage and put them all together and see what it all means. Because the 952 channel as its own channel is a channel that wants to lock us into a pattern. The pattern is gate 5. And the reason why we want to lock into a pattern or the 515 channel is because this puts us in the flow of our lives. This puts us in the energy that is our energy. This puts us in a place where we're walking a path that is specifically made for us, where we're walking in our own energy, moving towards our own gifts. It's a moment where you say, okay, I've been walking this path of somebody else. And when you look at sort of the way social media has made everything about sameness and copycat, and if this is a trend that I want to be like that person and do that thing, this is where we're breaking out of that and we're saying, I want to be who I am because the only place I will find all the things that are meant for me in this life, my life purpose, the reason why I'm here, are in my flow. So this gives us an opportunity. Gate 52, Jupiter in Gate 52 is giving us the opportunity to say, okay, where am I going? Where is my path? Where is my journey? And if you're off your journey, if you're off your path, it may be a time to reconfigure, recalibrate, understand that maybe you were walking a certain path that was not for you for a while, but you can always get on your own path. There's always a moment to change direction and to go in a direction that is empowering for you, that is for you. So you can receive all the gifts that are made for you. That's exactly where they are. And there's nothing better than being in your flow. And I think being in your flow is a moment that we all sort of probably feel in our lives. In fact, some people who are they consider them highly spiritual or people who are in the present moment. I think that they are in their flow more than the average people, and that's why they seem so otherworldly because they've found that place where they are kind of coalescing with everybody else, but they're also keeping their individuality. That is where we're in the universal flow, but we're also in our own personal flow within the universal flow. So we're all in that direction that is correct for us. But even being in the flow of your life, it is always going to be times of contraction and times of expansion. You can't keep eating for 24 hours of the day. If you do, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. There's always a time where you have food, you let it digest, and then you wait till you get hungry again, and then you do it all over again. And this is kind of what life is all about. We are always shifting and changing. Every time when we come to a point where we're in a contraction or a time where things are slowing down, it's a time to embrace it because it means that there will be speed coming up. And the speed that may come up is when Jupiter moves into gate 53. It's going to be in there from August 18th to September 18th, 2025, which is a huge opportunity. Now, it will be in gate 53 again in 2026. We are done with gate 15 for sure. That is finished. We won't have that again for another 12 years. But with gate 53, we will get a resurgence of that. And that could be maybe the start you weren't quite ready for. Gate 53 is about really well planned beginnings. And so it's preparing us for that moment of getting the soil ready, getting the seeds ready, getting everything ready so that when that opportunity rolls in, you have it and you have everything in place and you're ready to go. This is not about just throwing anything out because you're not going to have the best beginning if you're just kind of saying, oh, I'm just going to jump into that and that's what I'm going to do. This is about planning. And so this is a time to plan and to reflect and use the information and the energy you're getting from the universe to help guide you on your path. And July is also a time of downloads, huge downloads. This is going to happen because we have Mars going into gate 64. And we also have the South Node in gate 47, which will bring us the full 64-47 channel. So if you think about all the awareness energy, and gate 47 is an awareness. This is the Ajna awareness, which means that it's awareness that comes over time. It takes time for all the pieces to come into place to understand why it's all there. So if you think about gate 33, where Mercury will be retrograding, and Mercury will also be there sort of in the beginning of the month from July 3rd right until July 9th, then we're looking at a lot of time for reflection. Now, this is about looking at our experiences that have just happened and concretizing memories so that we have something to draw on. Now, when we move to the 64-47, this is where we have our memories already stored. Now, keep in mind that when we store our memories, they're not stored in a certain sequence or the sequence of how they happen. And so when we're trying to sort through those energies or use gate 47 to filter out all the things that don't matter and keep all the things that do matter, well, it takes time to have that all sort of distilled, all the information that matters. It takes time for that to happen. And so what this is doing is saying, okay, now I have these memories. Why did they matter? Why did I go through that challenge? Especially with the North Node in Gate 22, this is about finding grace and about individuality and about resilience and expressing your individuality and moving through life empowered by the fact that you're just who you are and just being you is enough. And so we're looking through all these types of memories and we're saying, well, why did that matter? Why did I go through this? And why did I go through that? And it doesn't always come at our bidding. And with Mars in gate 64, this is like, I want it now. I want to know why. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think about it all night and maybe even tomorrow and the next day. And I'm going to keep thinking about it. And I'm going to have a mind loop until I finally get my answer. And we know that this is not on human timing. This is on universal timing. When we get those moments of awareness, those moments of clarity where it all makes sense, it is an amazing feeling. But it doesn't come from pressure. It doesn't come from trying to get that information, from pushing yourself to concentrate more or to think more, to understand more, to figure out how to do it. This is not logic. This is abstract energy. This is about the experiences of your life. This is about waiting for the timing. And so if it's not happening, you're not getting the answers that you want. You're not getting the meaning that you are searching for. It's not coming when you want it to come. And Mars moves into gate 47, which it will on the 17th of July, and it will be there right until the 25th of July. Well, now we're saying that I feel oppressed. I feel like, there is no meaning. There's no meaning for any of it. Our life is an exercise in futility. Life happens and then you die or something like that, which is a pretty cynical way to look at life. But this is what Mars can bring because Mars wants to have the answers yesterday. Mars wants to know the meaning. And so this is another thing to watch for, this feeling of being oppressed, of this sense of not having meaning in the life that you're living, but there was always meaning. And so if you can look at the full channel, the 6447, and if you happen to have a hanging gate 64, you will find that you will be having a lot of this energy. And if that's the case, then this is about potentially having a lot of pressure to figure it out. But again, pulling yourself out of your thoughts because sometimes it can be just overwhelming and too much. And so this is about going out into the world where you can't think because maybe you're playing a sport and you're playing tennis and you got to just watch the ball, or you're watching the birds, you're bird watching, or you're doing something outside or with your body that requires you to have focus on something other than your thoughts. And this is a good way to sort of break that cycle. And it is in the moments of living your life and being removed from all this pressure to figure things out that most times the clarity comes, and those moments of wow, this all makes sense to me now come into your being, and they're worth it. They're very much worth it, but it is about having patience with the process of being alive and having patience with the process of being human, and that when the timing is right, we will get the clarity that we want so desperately. And there's nothing we can do to make it shift other than just to be in life and to wait for whatever comes whenever it does come. And just always be prepared for the awareness that will come because awareness will come. That is part of it. And I mentioned that before in the last moon phase that I talked about. And on July 10th, we have Uranus moving into Gate 20, which is a huge move. The last time Uranus moved into Gate 20 line 1 was May 15th, 1942, which was a long time ago. It was during World War II, and there was a lot of things happening. And I have a list of all the things that were happening just as Uranus was moving into Gate 20. This is a very important energy. The themes that Uranus brings are usually themes that we'll only see once because the cycle is 84 years. Of course, there are going to be people who live beyond 84 and they will have longer cycles and they'll have gates that Uranus will repeat. Uranus in gate 20 is a huge move. Why? Because it's part of the integration channels. And a lot of people have integration channels because there's four of them. So instead of just having two gates, and their harmonics, we now have four gates that can hook into each other. So Uranus is entering gate 20. Now, gate 20 is also an important gate. Why? Because it is part of the 2034 channel, which is part of the sleeping phoenix or the cross of the sleeping phoenix that we're going to be moving into in 2027. In fact, Uranus will be in gate 20 line 2 in 2027. So this is kind of giving us a taster of what we might see going into 2026. I've already looked at 2026 and it does look like a very impactful year, which makes sense because it's sort of the last full year before we move into 2027. So a lot of things are going to be happening. We have the Neptune Saturn conjunction, which is going to be happening February 20th, 2026, which seems to bode to huge shifts on planet Earth. But I will do something more in depth in the future. But it's giving us a taste of what we might see going into 2026 because Uranus will go right into gate 20 line 5 in 2026 as well as 20 line 6. Now 20 line 6 of course is connected to the new cycle of 2027, but 20 line 5 is the universalization or the embodiment of what gate 20 means, and that is looking at the present moment, being in the present moment, seeing what reality is there and accepting reality for what it is. And as I always say, it isn't about saying this is what it's like and I'm never going to be able to change anything. It's more like no longer having blinders on and really seeing the truth of where we are as a collective or you as an individual are in this moment and to use it to your advantage to move forward. Now, with Uranus and Gate 20 line 1, this is a foundational energy. This is where we're building up the security of what does this energy mean and what is it trying to tell me and what am I going to learn from this? Now, if you have integration channels or you have an integration gate, so that would be 34, 20, 57, or 10, that means that you're going to hook into Uranus and it's going to bring a channel or it's going to overlay one of your channels. And so this is an impactful time for you, but it can be impactful for all of us, even if we don't have integration. Ultimately, it's saying watch, look, listen. This is where we're watching everything that's happening around us, not really saying much about anything. In fact, people looking at you may say, oh, this person isn't even interested in what's happening in the world. And yet, it's this silent energy that's building all the information, building up all the intel, looking at all the things that are happening and saying, okay, I want something different. And how am I going to make that happen? Well, when we get to gate 20, line 5 in 2026, this is where we're saying, okay, I can't look at this anymore. And I know that I can't do it myself. And this is going to take a group effort to move this energy. Now, this is the energy of unity as much as it is of realism, as much as it is individuality and survival, being in the present moment. So you take all those energies and then you start to build something new. And based on what other gates are playing out when Uranus goes into gate 20, line 5 in 2026, that will sort of give us a theme of what we'll see happening or what it could activate when Uranus moves into gate 20, line 5, because I think that's going to be an impactful time for certain. So with Uranus moving into gate 20, line 1, where it will be until November 4th, then this is asking us to sort of watch, look, and listen. And then it moves into the second line, and that is sort of the same line as when we're moving into 2027. And that means it's even more impactful because it's giving us even more information about the changes that we may see going forward. Keep in mind that 20 line 2 is in harmony to 20 line 5. So 20 line 2 is receiving the call to see the real world, to see what's happening in the real world. And from that call, you're making plans for what you want to do in the future. And I will talk about that more as the time goes on, because right now we'll only be looking at gate 20 line 1 for July, and in August we'll be exploring the second line of gate 20. Now, with Uranus in gate 20 line 1, we know that the first line will be activated, and that is always going to resonate to fear. We also have Pluto moving back to the first line as well, which will be happening on July 10th. So now we have a lot of first line energy. This means that there's two very powerful energies in the first line, which brings that component of fear. But it also brings, because Pluto's moving into gate 41, line 1, it brings the concept of, from a global perspective, an authoritarian energy. And this is bringing back the rise of authoritarianism, which, when you look at it from the first line perspective, we know that it is connected to the concept of being an authority in what you know. And because of that, you're a leader because you have a lot of experience or you know something really well and you're an authority in it. But it can easily move into something that is a lot different. And that is about, I am authority and I'm going to tell you what to do and I will try and control you. With Uranus also in gate 20, line 1, when we're talking about the global perspective, we're looking at AI, we're looking at technocrats, we're looking at people who want to control the world. And with Pluto in gate 41, line 1, we see that gate 41 is all about decrease. And so we know that when something knows that its end has come, it always gets louder. And so what this brings is a potential for things to get a lot louder in the themes of authoritarianism, in the themes of people trying to act like dictators, themes of leaders trying to control the people. This may be a time where we see that happen. I hope it's not the case. In fact, I'd love to be wrong and not see this as a theme at all. But I do feel that this is a theme that we will see playing out. Now, this will go into 2026. We will see this right into January. There will be a time where Pluto is going to retrograde back into the gate 60, line 6, and this is going to be happening on August 20th, 2025. Pluto will stay in this energy until December 4th, 2025. And then it will move on, and we will not see it again in our lifetime because it will be gone out of this energy for 248 years. But it's going to leave us its calling card before it goes. And so Pluto is going to enter gate 60, give us its last message, and then it's going to leave. We could look at this as a time where those messages are going to be really loud. The messages are going to be connected to limitation. And when we get to 60, line 6, and I know I'm going ahead, but I thought since we're the middle of the year, why not give a little bit of a heads up on what we might expect for the second half of the year? Gate 60, line 6, it's almost like this concept of the more I limit myself, the better results I will get, the faster I will be able to transcend this obstacle that's in my way. So, if you went on a diet, for instance, and instead of saying, I'm just going to slowly eat more healthy food. I'm going to change things. I'm going to incorporate things that are easier for me to do so that I'm looking at a lifelong shift instead of something that I, just want to jump in and jump out of. And I know eventually I will transcend that obstacle of always wanting to get out of this new way of living and start to look at it as being part of my life. And then when I hit that moment of transcendence, then it is part of my everyday routine. And I have mutated because now I see my life in a different way, as this is part of who I am and what I like to do for myself. With gate 69 6, you're saying, I'm going to just, do everything at one time. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to put myself in the most limited amount of calories, for instance. I'm going to eat 800 calories a day, and it will make me get to the other side of it much faster. But what in fact it does is it only makes people kind of feel overwhelmed, oppressed, and just not good, because anything that is overdone with this idea that it may or may not bring you to your goal, because you don't really know with gate 60 if you're going to get to your goal or not. Is this limitation going to bring me the transcendence, or this moment where the obstacles fall away and I can move forward? Or is it just going to be a lot of suffering and I may or may not get something at the end? And so this is where we're looking at the powers that be putting extreme limits on the collective, for instance. Like that could be a thing that they're doing. Okay, you're going to hurt a lot so that in the long run you'll be better, after we make all these huge sweeping changes. This is for your own good. We're going to make these things very intense, very strict, very conservative. So you will in the end be better for it. And so how does that make people feel? Obviously people don't like it. So what happens is this is where you have a rising of people saying, no, we're not going to just be limited like this. And that's what gate 60, line 6, the final Pluto going through for the final moments, could bring us, where people are saying, okay, enough is enough. It boils over into 2026, where we have this rise of the power of the people saying enough is enough, especially when we have the nodes moving into 3740. And that's going to be happening in December as well. On the 23rd of December, 2025, right until May 13th, 2026, we have the 3740 nodes in play, which means that this is universal willpower, but also emotional willpower. This is about communities and being together, working together. This is tribal energy, though, but it's also the almost the crescendo of the cross of planning that says, okay, this is what we've always lived, this is what we've always done. We're going to continue to do that. Now, while the 3740 channel can be amazing for communities and being in the tribe and, having time together and being a family, it can also be something that becomes toxic. This is toxic tribalism. My people against your people. 3740 is about religion. It's about one side, gate 40 is saying, I don't believe in that there is any religion or God or anything like that. I don't believe in anything of that kind. Denial. And the other is gate 37, where this is where 37 line 6 is where you want to see the face of God. You are waiting for that moment when God reveals themselves to you. So when you see the duality and these very, very conflicting energies, it makes sense that we might see this in a global sphere where there is a lot of this my tribe against your tribe, my religion against your religion, my country against your country. And this could be a disintegration of global partnerships, or it could be a strengthening of certain global partnerships, people who seem like they're the same tribe. But this is basically, it's not going to potentially work the same way the cross of planning has always worked. And so we're talking about this being mutated and different because we're moving from a first line energy in 2026 into 2027, and then 27 February 15th 2027 we're moving into mutated energy, gate 6. And there's always going to be a give and take between a movement of energy from a first line of a gate to a sixth line of a brand new gate, and vice versa, from a sixth line of a gate to the first line of a brand new gate. So these are two gates that are trying to bring their energy together. Gate 37 and gate 40 are going to be moving into gate 59 and gate 55, very individual energy. So there's this need to be an individual, but then there's also this need to be in the community. So this is going to be the clash between ideologies, we could say, but also this sense of, I look at it as being neo-tribalism, where you're actually picking your own family, you're picking your own community. It is not something that is based on religion, blood, or any of those parameters that have made people conform to certain ways of how they build community. Now we're having this more expansive way to have a community that makes you feel good. And this could be where we have people from political parties who finally say, like, enough is enough with this. It could be like, I don't want to be in this political party anymore because it doesn't align with my truth. And I've always been there because my family was in there, my parents were in there, my grandparents were in there, their grandparents were in there, in this particular political party. And now I just don't know if that's for me anymore. We're moving into a time where things are going to shift a lot. And I think the 3740 will bring those shifts. And again, with Gate 60 and all that energy, it's like this crescendo of energy all coming together. And right now we know that there's a rise in conservatism. They're trying to go back to the old ways. They're trying to limit people from their individuality. There's a lot of this kind of conform, be put in the box, and do what we say you're supposed to do, act a certain way. This is normal, this is not normal. So all these types of energies are trying to bring back the world into a time when it was way different than what it is. But we know that with the cross of planning on its last legs, it can't hold. And so this is a time where we're moving to that. We're moving through this energy and we're going to come out the other side, but it's going to take some time, as every global cycle that has ever moved into a new global cycle has ever happened. This is my first time, as it would be for everybody else. It will be a time where we're moving from one thing to another, and it's not just a line, it will be a melding of all energies. And when it happens, it will be something that will impact all of us in a certain way, and we're all individuals, so everybody will be impacted in a different way. And so this is what I feel we're moving into, and all these energies that we're starting to build up in July, August, going into the fall, going into December, into early January and February. And I think that that will be when we get this combination of energy right into May because of the 3740. This will also give everybody willpower. So if you want to start a new plan, a way, something that you've always struggled to try and continue on, everybody's going to have global willpower from December 23rd into May. So you might be able to use that to your advantage to get the benefits, or to stick with something so that it becomes a habit in your life, whatever that is, something new that you want to incorporate into your life. So that is a positive part of it. In the end, there is no positive or negative. This is about moving into energy that we know is changing. As I mentioned, this is a month to enjoy that solitude if you can, to take the time to reflect, to take the time to be in nature, to take the time just to be, and to be ready for when the doors open for something new, especially when Jupiter moves into Gate 53. So I hope you have a wonderful month ahead. And until next time, take care and bye for now.